where architecture learned to wait. Nothing here happens quickly. Snow lingers long after calendars say it should melt. Ice returns without warning. Seasons hesitate, reverse, repeat. And in this high-altitude expanse, where time itself feels undecided, a hotel was built on a single, radical principle: patience. The site lay on a remote plateau where weather ruled absolutely. Roads closed for months. Construction windows vanished without notice. Materials froze mid-use. Crews learned quickly that schedules meant nothing here. The environment did not oppose human effort. It simply ignored it. To understand why this hotel matters today, we have to return to the first failed attempt. The original plan followed conventional logic: rapid construction during short summers, aggressive timelines, strict sequencing. It collapsed almost immediately. Storms arrived early. Snow buried foundations before they cured. Entire seasons were lost waiting for conditions that never aligned. The plateau did not reward urgency. Geologists studying the site delivered an uncomfortable truth. The land itself was stable, but the climate was not predictable in human terms. Freeze and thaw cycles overlapped. Wind scoured exposed surfaces at random. Trying to force progress created vulnerabilities that the environment exploited instantly. The breakthrough came when the team abandoned the idea of continuity altogether. Instead of building in a straight line, the hotel would be constructed in fragments, independent modules designed to wait indefinitely. Each component could be paused mid-process, sealed, and left untouched for months or even years without degrading. Progress would no longer be measured by speed, but by readiness. This changed everything. Foundations were designed to be laid slowly, one section at a time, only when conditions allowed perfect curing. Structures rose in isolated moments of alignment, then stopped without penalty. The hotel advanced not by schedule, but by opportunity. But waiting carried its own psychological cost. Investors struggled with uncertainty. Workers battled frustration. Designers wrestled with the loss of momentum. Nothing about the process felt efficient. And yet, for the first time, nothing failed. As years passed, the plateau revealed its rhythm. Patterns emerged. Windows of calm returned reliably, if briefly. The team learned to read the land not by forecast, but by observation. They stopped asking when they could build. They waited until the plateau invited them to. And slowly, something extraordinary happened. The hotel began to feel inevitable, not because it was forced into existence, but because it had learned how to arrive. Yet, one final question remained. Could a place built by waiting ever feel complete to those who arrived expecting comfort, certainty, and immediacy? The answer would come only when the doors finally opened and patience met expectation. Waiting reshaped more than the construction process. It reshaped the building itself. When progress is measured in moments rather than milestones, design priorities change. The hotel was no longer conceived as a fixed object assembled in sequence. It became a collection of pauses, each one intentional. Materials were chosen for their ability to endure stillness. Concrete mixes that cured slowly without cracking. Woods that tolerated prolonged exposure before sealing. Metals that resisted fatigue from repeated freezing and thawing. Every element was selected not for speed, but for patience. This approach clashed sharply with modern expectations. Contractors accustomed to momentum struggled with long stretches of inactivity. Crews arrived ready to work, only to be told to wait. Some days passed without a single tool lifted. The plateau dictated terms without explanation. Conflicts surfaced when early modules sat unfinished through an entire winter. Snow buried them. Ice crept along seams. Critics predicted hidden damage, inevitable failure. But when thaw finally returned, inspections revealed something unexpected. Nothing had degraded. By refusing to rush, the materials had settled naturally into the environment. Moisture escaped slowly instead of trapping itself. Thermal stresses eased instead of concentrating. The modules looked less like foreign objects and more like extensions of the plateau itself. Encouraged, the team leaned further into restraint. Construction windows grew shorter, but more precise. Work happened only when temperature, wind, and light aligned. Entire seasons were skipped without apology. The hotel advanced in quiet increments, almost invisibly. Emotionally, this tested everyone involved. Progress was hard to see. Doubt crept in during long delays. Yet each completed fragment fit perfectly with those that came before, as if the land itself had held space for them. As the structure neared completion, a deeper realization emerged. The hotel did not feel new. It felt as though it had always been there, simply uncovered slowly, layer by layer, through attention and restraint. But one challenge remained unresolved. Guests would arrive with expectations shaped by urgency and convenience. They would want warmth, comfort, reliability. They would not have witnessed the waiting that shaped the place. The question now was not whether the hotel could survive the plateau. It was whether people could learn to slow down enough to belong within it. The first season of partial operation revealed a tension no one had fully anticipated. Guests arrived carrying the habits of speed. They expected immediate warmth, instant service, seamless transitions. The plateau offered none of those things. Weather closed paths without notice. Visibility vanished for hours. Silence stretched longer than comfort allowed. The hotel did not correct these conditions. It absorbed them. Some visitors struggled. They checked watches more often. They asked when things would happen. They searched for schedules the place refused to provide. For them, the waiting felt like absence. But others began to notice something different. Without constant motion, time softened. Meals stretched longer. Conversations deepened. Windows became destinations rather than backdrops. Guests learned to read the sky the way the builders had, not for certainty, but for permission. Activities unfolded when conditions allowed, not when clocks demanded. The conflict reached an emotional peak during an unexpected storm cycle. Heavy snow arrived early, sealing the plateau weeks before planned closure. Several guests were effectively stranded, though well supplied and safe. The outside world disappeared behind white silence. Panic flickered briefly. Then something shifted. The hotel did not rush to reassure with promises of extraction or timelines it could not guarantee. Instead, staff invited guests into the rhythm of the place. Fires were lit. Food was prepared slowly. Stories filled the long evenings. Waiting became shared rather than endured alone. The storm lingered for days. Inside, something rare formed. Guests stopped asking when they would leave and began asking how long they could stay. The plateau had not trapped them. It had held them. When the storm finally passed and access returned, many left reluctantly. They spoke of the stillness as something they had forgotten how to experience. The delay had not diminished their comfort. It had deepened it. In that moment, the hotel's purpose became clear. It was not built to deliver experiences on demand. It was built to teach the value of arrival, the quiet understanding that some places reveal themselves only when we stop insisting on speed. And still, one final realization waited ahead. The greatest test of patience would not come from storms or seasons. It would come from deciding whether the hotel itself would ever need to change, or whether wait was not a phase, but a permanent way of being. The answer emerged slowly, the only way it could. Years passed, and the plateau continued its quiet negotiations with weather and time. The hotel did not expand aggressively. It did not chase trends or chase demand. Instead, it changed only when the land itself made change unavoidable. A wing was added after a decade, not because plans required it, but because the terrain revealed a new pocket of stability. A pathway shifted when wind patterns made its old route less forgiving. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was forced. The true climax of the story arrived not through crisis, but through restraint. A proposal surfaced to modernize the hotel. Faster access routes, more automation, greater capacity. On paper, it made sense. Demand had grown. The reputation of the place had spread. Expansion promised efficiency, but the plateau had not invited it. After long deliberation, the proposal was declined, not out of nostalgia, but out of understanding. The hotel had learned that its strength came from alignment, not optimization. To grow faster than the environment allowed would undo everything patience had built. Guests continued to arrive, and many continued to struggle at first. But those who stayed long enough felt the shift. Days stretched, sleep deepened, attention sharpened. Waiting became less about delay and more about presence. The hotel did not entertain impatience. It softened it. In a world accelerating toward immediacy, this place offered something increasingly rare, a rhythm shaped by weather, silence, and acceptance. The plateau never promised comfort on demand. It offered belonging to those willing to arrive slowly. And that is a legacy of where architecture learned to wait. A reminder that progress does not always mean movement, that completion does not require haste, and that some of the most meaningful places are not built by doing more, but by knowing when to pause. So what do you think? Are we repeating the same mistake again? Where